One of the biggest trends of last year that spread into a deeper conversation about art was the surge of AI programs being used to generate abstract ideas into a reality. Initially used to make nightmarish memes, it wasn't long before it crept into the professional side of art. While the revelation of some of those programs using art made by artists as parts of the work has further delegitimized pieces made solely by AI, it has also introduced the concept of using those programs as a springboard. It's something I've seen bleed into the creative pockets of creators I follow online, but one outfit used it outside of those spaces that led to one of my favorite albums released last year. It's an album that sees a beautiful harmony of man and machine, one of emotional pain, trauma buried, pure smooth, artful bliss, Jennifer, Kevin, and an album that sees Manchester's Everything Everything with what I'd argue is their second best project thus far in their catalog, Raw Data Feel. Why is it their second best? Let's break that down. To some, the idea of AI being creative is the catalytic point that causes the uprising of machines to overthrow and murder man, as has been seen in countless science fiction stories right down to the classic Frankenstein. It is viewed as some as the hubris of man. Which, I mean, if any of the AI nightmares I'd generated at the memes peak had come after me, I'd be terrified too. To say you'd use the same AI to make such an emotionally charged album discussing love, breakups, abuse, and the pain that can stem from reflection on your past feels like a move Everything would make post an album conceptualized around the idea of bicameralism as explored on their now third best album, Reanimator. It was an album that already saw them lyrically exploring other concepts outside of the politically entangled realms further, and the pivot to focus on the more emotional side of their lyrics that was already also kind of danced around with them made so much sense. At its core, Raw Data Feel is a bittersweet story whose protagonist lives sometimes in grand expressions and actions done impulsively. It's one with an attitude that works so well for the band's frontman Jonathan Higgs, while not losing sight of the emotional potential within a lifestyle so erratic. Tracks like Jennifer and bask in the whirlwind highs with this potential kinetic energy, while Hex and Shark Week illustrate the frustrations and spite when things get washed away, while the band crafts insatiable grooves within the energy. It's an album with this established mood of bleak dread that feels like the band in their own way keeping these established moods with the more politically charged stuff. Songs like Metroland is Burning, which sees this bright and lush 80s pop groove juxtaposed with this apocalyptic imagery with the chorus of I've been waiting for you all my life, but they don't give a flying fuck about us. Something enhanced tenfold in the laid-back groove of the penultimate track, Born Under a Meteor, with that apocalyptic imagery broadened more, immediately followed by the lush yet sinister groove within Leviathan that features so many grand swells about grief and death between a mother and daughter, or even the lead single Bad Friday with its dark, sinister edge, detailing this paranoia-fueled night out that might have ended darker than you'd ever imagined, gives the world of Jennifer and Kevin a bit more weight. Along with further explorations of abuse and trauma within the tight bass-driven groove of Pizza Boy, and giving Kevin this young and rebellious energy on Caught Up, gives tracks like Kevin's Hard that enhance the emotional potency within that track, this unity that sets it so far above a lot of their discography. On top of those ideas and the fun offshoots like the glitchy opener Teletype, the closer software Great Man, which gives the AI a chance to break off into a more computer-centric space with a nice propulsive groove at its core, and the track My Computer, which is a less compelling splendor and misery, the band sonically dazzles as well, while creating the scope that reminds me of sort of the showcasing of talent scene on what I'd argue is their best album, Get to Heaven. It takes the more Radiohead-inspired Reanimator and the sort of softer bits of ambient scene on the sessions of A Fever Dream and marries them into this variety hour of pop excellence that they just knock out of the park. While you could have tracks rooted in different eras of synth-driven music, the band finds ways to weave between these pockets of them so well. It starts and ends on tight, modern synth bangers, but the switch from the 4 on the Floor club smash Bad Friday into the New Order-esque Pizza Boy is magnificent, and that segment of lush, bass-driven cuts that caps off with the beautiful Leviathan is serene. That drop from that into the lushness of Shark Week, incredible. My time in Banger City with that, Hex, and Cut Up, immaculate. The fact that they keep it synth heavy, but pivot into the more sleek My Computer, a pivot that eases into the more heavy lyrically but tight groove-laden tracks like Kevin's Car and Born Under Meteor, perfection. There's a reason why I scooped this up on vinyl, man. It's incredible. It's an album that achieves something similar to Get to Heaven, and showing the band taking what they liked from the 2 previous albums and retooling it into something truly incredible. Now you may be asking yourself, you're giving this album all of this hype, how is it still not better than Get to Heaven? Well, partially outside of my own personal bias, because this album kind of came out at just the best time for me. That album is a pop masterpiece. It's an album that, in spite of a microdact, that is still one of my new favorites of all time. Between showing how far they'd grown from their roots and became tighter as a unit, it also showed some incredibly potent and well-penned snark that still had a strong emotional core that really looks at a fear of growing old in a dying world just sublimely. The bangers on there are also just a bit better. Fortune 500, Zero Pharaoh, and even Blast Doors kind of sweep the bangers on Raw Data Field. But you guys already know this though. You guys know I love that album immensely. The hooks on Raw Data Field, though, are just as colossal in moments. I mean, I've already talked at Bad Friday because it was on my Singles of the Year video, and I've talked about the grandness on tracks like Metro Lane is Burning, Leviathan, and Born Under a Meteor here, but the hooks on Metro Lane is Burning, like I mentioned before, and Pizza Boy, I Wanna Love Like This, and My Computer are colossal. And again, kind of reach a point that gets close to Get to Heaven's strengths, in my opinion. You know, it just goes to show that there's something magical about a third in a sequence from these guys. But I'm hoping that they break that cycle following this up into a new cycle of 3s. And that's how I'd put Raw Data Feel and Everything's Discography. I know that this is a different format than I have had in the past for the Recontextualized Discography reviews, but I'm trying to find ways to experiment with this sort of format because I don't think the original format of just adding the numerical entry does justice to highlighting the strengths or weaknesses of how an album can fit in a band's overall story, like viewing a discography can be sometimes. I don't know. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you did like this video, give it a like. Do you like Raw Data Feel? Let me know some of your favorite songs in the comments down below. I'm gonna go. Thank you again so very much for watching. I have been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.